It's Corso and Catone. Brought to you by Corso Law Group, Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Now for the real deal New England feel. Corso and Catone.
Welcome into Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. I'm Corso. Catone is here with his main sweatshirt on.
Listen, I think, there's a moose on it, too.
I'm surprised there's not a horse's ass on it. But Mark's here. Joe's with us in the booth. I guess we're fired up and ready to go, huh, guys?
Yeah.
You are watching us on YouTube. Hey, listen, when you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. Give you some likes, get our notifications, hit the bell so you never miss a show, and check out our shorts on YouTube. Those are pretty popular, so check those out. And you can listen to us on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, 790 The Score. And make sure you email us in our mailbag, corso.catone@gmail.com, or you can call us, heated hotline, 855-313-PATS, P-A-T-S, message line, 24/7. Have a take. Hi, guys.
Hey.
What's going on?
How we feeling? Mark, you seem got a pep in your step today, huh?
I do got a pep in my step. It was free agency frenzy this week. Of course I have a pep in my step.
It was. But we got a good one. And we're going to talk a lot more about free agents in depth and detail tomorrow in the Pats Nation. So make sure you tune in for that. But today we're going to have B's and C's. We say farewell to the Bruins captain. We'll talk about that. And, of course, we'll hear from one of you in Heated Hotline. And Catone's comments, as I said, he's got a pep in his step. Let's see what he brings to the table. And Yankees versus Red Sox. So, guys, you're right.
That's the MASH unit. Yankees versus Red Sox is the MASH unit.
It is the MASH unit, both teams.
Both teams.
So right. We'll get into that in a little bit. But to begin, hey, say bye to a 16-year vet captain of the Boston Bruins.
Yeah.
Got to talk about Marchand leaving. We're going to do it in B's and C's. We're going to do it now.
Hit it! The Boston Celtics are the world champions, and they have shown the world how great a ball club they really are.
Screen shot, score! The Bruins win! The return to the Stanley Cup Finals!
Okay, Mark, so let's start with that. We'll talk about Brad Marchand, 16 years with the Boston Bruins. He was the captain. He gets traded to the Florida Panthers. Just quickly, it's a conditional second-round pick a couple of years from now, but it can become a first-round pick.
It could become a first-round pick, and it could, Chris, just because – Florida at that point may not be as good as they are now. So,
No, and they got to get to 2 rounds of the playoffs. He's going to play in a certain amount of games and all this other. So, and they've made some other trades and all that. Coyle and Frederick is gone.
The one thing they did do, Chris, is they did accumulate some picks because they had no picks moving forward.
And players.
And players and picks. So, I mean, listen, you and I were okay with what happened because they had to do this. They had to bite the bullet and do it. They had to, Chris.
So they got some picks. Traded Carlo as well. A couple of ancillary pieces. But really, what we want to talk about is Marchand. So, what do you think?
Well, here's the thing, Chris. I don't necessarily know what the market was for him. However, it seems like they appeased him. And sent him to a situation because of his history with us where he wanted to go, where he would be happy, even though maybe you could have gotten more sending him somewhere else. It was almost like, okay, we're going to dump you, but what will make you happy? And we'll try to accommodate you. Maybe you can win another Stanley Cup. That's the way it was portrayed, Chris. Now, I don't know if it was true or not, but screw him. I would have gotten up with the most I could have gone for him. Maybe just because I'm cold-hearted, SOB. But,
I'm with you. I would have done the same thing. I mean, but then we were hearing this week a lot of rumblings, a lot of things coming out over there that, I mean, they offered him 3 years, $6 million a year, which is, to me,
that's ridiculous.
Maybe I just don't understand the landscape of hockey, but
he declined
that's outrageous to me.
At his age, what do you think you're going to get on the open market at his age?
Well, there are some experts around the league that think he can get it next year. He can get a deal for $7 million. I think he wanted like $7 million a year. I mean,
Well,
for
then
3 years.
maybe hockey's starting to change, Chris, because that money was never around for these guys.
So listen. I'm not doing that deal. I can't believe the Bruins
No, I'm
offered
not doing
that
that
deal.
deal. I'm not doing that deal.
And I have no problem with trading him. It's the right thing to do. It's what needed to happen. And you would love to be able to say, okay, kumbaya, everybody like Ray Bork left and all that. It's not the same. It's not the same because of what we're hearing, that there were issues.
Yeah.
That there were issues inside. And you know what? You can see, I mean, the first they get their ass kicked. We're recording on Thursday. They get their ass kicked by Ottawa tonight. But
so you were saying there were issues inside. What elaborate on that for?
Well, I mean, you hear things like, well, first of all, every issue that came up, he seemed to be in the center of it. So the thing with Swayman, right, where he came in late, signed his deal late, and Marchand was pissed at that. Was giving him the cold shoulder on it. He had an issue with Swayman.
Mm-hmm.
He had an issue with the coach, Montgomery. They were pushing they were pushing each other around on the bench physically, at times. So he had an issue with that. And then it seemed that he had an issue with Pasternak at some point, although they swept the dust over that. And then he had an issue with the media based on that Pasternak stuff, that the media is creating things. So every controversial thing that's happened, he seemed to be in the center of it. And now
he's supposed to be your captain.
Right. And we talked about this. Leadership was an issue on this team. I mean, it was. Leadership was an issue. There's just something stunk on this team all season long. No, I mean, it's just
absolutely.
And maybe this was the thing that stunk because he was pissed off because he's looking in the locker room and he's like, "You got paid. He got paid. He got paid."
Well, I think the final straw, Chris, was you gave Swayman all that money and you're only offering me. If it's true, they offered him $6 million. I think. If he declined it, Chris, because he probably said, but Swayman's worth $8. Right. You know what I mean? I think that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back was Swayman's deal. So for him.
So it seems though now, I mean, they came out of the gates. They're playing hard with energy. I mean, that Florida game was spectacular. I mean, especially at the end, was Zadorov kicked the crap out of Bennett.
You must have loved that because you hate him, Bennett.
Him within the neck. It was beautiful with 3 seconds left. Crowd was going. It's just an energy that you haven't seen with the team. Have you?
No, you haven't. You haven't seen that feistiness and that energy and that. No, that was a game that they looked at like a different hockey team. Don't get me wrong. Now they're losing the next game to Ottawa. They're back to normal. But
they got their ass kicked tonight.
They got their ass kicked. But that first game, off all those trades and all those moves, they did look like a different hockey team.
Yeah, Tampa and then Florida, 2 quality wins. So again, are they going anywhere? They came into that game against Ottawa 2 points out of the play, but
they're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere. But it seems like maybe something was pulled out of that locker room that was, some dark cloud is gone now. Doesn't it feel like that?
No, it does. It definitely does. And it's a shame, Chris, because he was your captain.
I don't think he was a great captain, though. No. I mean, I just don't. I don't think he was a great captain.
What are you going to compare him to? Bergeron? You're going to compare him to what? You're going to compare him to Chara, Bork. Like he's not going to match up to those guys. You know what I mean?
No, he's a guy. He's a Weasley guy. He's a guy that that kind of guy. So, but he gave a lot of years to Boston. We thank him for that. Obviously, put his heart into everything he did here. Clearly, so
Chris,
we thank him.
I wonder how much Chara had to do with saying get rid of this guy, because he's supposedly involved in the organization now, right?
I mean, I think it was clear. I mean, I can't imagine you needed a huge push.
No, but Chara has been is a player. He's been in the locker room before, and maybe he said, "Guys, you get rid of this guy." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Perhaps. Maybe he was that push. I don't know. Perhaps. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't know.
So the Bruins say farewell to Brad Marchand. We wish him well in Florida.
Oh, yeah. and I hope he wins let him go win a cup.
Yeah, absolutely. And so flipping to the Celtics now, Mark.
Yep.
I was coming into the show going to say, hey, look, they seem like they're hitting their stride, you know, yet they're still having problems in the fourth quarter. And then they played, I'll say it, probably the best team in basketball in Oklahoma.
And they lost. And they lost.
But it's the way it happened that makes me worry.
Now, but does it make you worry if Porzingis was there?
I don't think it makes a difference.
So even if
Do you think they
Porzingis
wouldn't? I mean, they took 63 3-pointers.
Yeah, no.
Do you think they would have taken less with him there?
No, probably not. Probably not. Well, I shouldn't say that, Chris. Yeah, maybe they would have, because they would have had an inside presence. So maybe they do take less if he's on the floor, Chris.
They were 20 of 63.
Yeah.
That's it. Listen, you know what?
63 3-pointers, Chris, is absurd. That's absurd.
They broke the NBA record in the first half.
That's absurd.
For 3-pointers and a half. Look, I'll tell you what I'm irritated with. A couple of things. First, this math game that they're playing. And I know the league plays it. I know the whole league is playing this game. The more threes you put up, the math works out. It works. It shows.
Well, it works. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're hitting them. The problem is this with this team. When they're not hitting them, there's no pivot. There's no pivoting to anything else.
But that's on the coach, Chris.
And that's my problem. Is he got severely outcoached in this game. I mean, Oklahoma came out. They were playing some man. They were playing some zone. They were coming out on 3-pointers, and then they were backing down. They were dropping down into the paint and giving them up. They were allowing 3-point shots.
Yeah.
You know, they were fine with you taking them, but then they did contest some of them. Now, what irritates me is that you listen to these guys in the post game, and they start talking about Missoula, you know him. He starts getting into the numbers and all of that and said they were all clean looks, like we do it again.
No, he absolutely would, Chris. That's his game.
So if you're playing Oklahoma in the playoffs, Mark, and you're just not falling.
And by the way, it wouldn't just be in the playoffs. If you have to play Oklahoma, it's in the finals. Yeah.
Right. That's I mean. So, and these are not falling for you. You're going to lose the game. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark, they were 11 of 12 in 2-point shots, 2-point attempts. 11 of 12. So it isn't like they were getting shut down, that like Oklahoma was saying, we're going to take the inside game away. We're going to take the mid-range shot away from you and make you just force you to hit 3-pointers. No, because they were 11 of 12. So they could have done more with that. They just won't.
Yeah. Listen, we talked about this last year, Chris, though. And we said, oh, this might catch up to him in the playoffs. But it never did, because somebody's still going to beat you 4 times, Chris. So even if this happens in 1 game, it's not going to happen in 4 games. Like, they're not going to do that 4 games out of a series. So even having one of those games, I still think it's going to be very tough, Chris. Looking at the balance of the league right now, it's going to be very tough for somebody to beat this team 4 times, Chris. Very tough.
No, I agree with that.
You know, and you're right. They may get a game where they shoot 55, 63s. They're not hitting them, and somebody beats them. Yeah, positively, that's a problem. But then you have to figure in a 7-game series that'll rectify itself. But it may not, Chris.
Because they're going to shoot lights out for 2 of those games.
Yeah, but against a team like OKC, the margin of error is very small, because OKC is not that much below you. The margin of error is small.
If at all.
And if Porzingis doesn't play, because you can't count on him. If for some reason he comes back and then he's knocked out for the play for the finals, he don't play, they can beat you. Because listen, OKC's has an all-star forward. Jalen Williams didn't play last night either. Everyone says, yeah, but Porzingis didn't play. Well, their second best player on their roster didn't play either.
That's right. That's right. And so that's why I have a problem with not pivoting, not changing, not moving to something different, you know, and the stubbornness of doing this. And because they still think, and we'll end with this. They still believe they're the best 3-point shooting team in the league, and they're not. Last year they were breaking records. Okay. And in their mind, they're still the same. And they're mid-range. They're middle of the pack in percentage of makes. Yeah. Well, that's a problem moving forward. And not only is it a problem with Oklahoma, but it's a problem with Cleveland, Mark. So We'll pay
Oh yeah,
attention.
it could be. It could be. And the other night, Chris Hauser had a great game. What did he hit? Like 9 threes?
Yeah. So I don't know how much you're going to rely on that, but let's keep paying attention to all of this and what's going to happen. But B's and C's was presented by the Pats Nation Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Hey, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. We're going to have all our free agency fallout, break it all down. Everybody we picked up, what we didn't get, all the drama, the stupid ass, what do you call that, press conference they had on Thursday. So make sure you're doing that. But when we come back, we are going to hear from one of you in the Nation and Heated Hotline. Stick around.
Sundays are for football. And here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone.
You have the worst wide receiver room in the National Football League.
This is why the Patriots need us in the draft room. Let's see what the Pats Nation thinks about that, Mark.
Starting June 30th, Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m. on 790 The Score.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal New England feel. All right, Mark, let's, I don't know, got somebody out there, Joe, to hear from today? We'll do it in Heated Hotline.
Hey guys, it's Jen from Cranston. So great. Got a lot of defensive players, but we still don't have a tackle or receiver. The only good thing is that it looks like these are all Vrabel's choices. So that little weasel Elliott Wolf is not making the decision. But when the hell is this team going to put wide receiver first? I'm so goddamn frustrated. Cheap bastards. I love your show. Bye, guys.
I had to put that one.
She's the best, Chris.
She finally said exactly what I've been saying too with the wide receiver.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
She,
Well, I mean,
she
there's a lot
always
there.
gives it to us, Chris. Always.
Elliot Wolf is a weasel, she said. Cheap
Wait,
bastard.
they're cheap bastards, yeah.
Call him a cheap bastard. She's goddamn frustrated. I don't blame you, Jen. Thanks for the call, as always.
Oh, God.
So, Mark, listen, she brings it up, so let's talk about it. Explain something to me. And like I said, tomorrow on the Pats Nation, we're going to go through all of the free agent pickups. But I don't have the time to do it today on the show, but we're going to do it tomorrow. So make sure you tune in because we're going to break them all down. But generally speaking, you've had a rookie quarterback contract for 4, 5 years now. Say 4 since 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want, yeah, Mac Jones, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've had a rookie contract quarterback for 4 years. Okay. You were tops in the league in money to spend that entire time. And you still don't have a left tackle. You still don't have a number 1 receiver. You still don't have a number 2 receiver.
Yeah.
Okay. And honestly, you don't have a center.
Well, yeah, because they just released David Andrews. Yeah, you're right.
Which is a head scratcher too. I don't understand why that happened.
I don't know what that was about. I really don't.
So I don't have an explanation for that. Oh, I mean, she says cheap bastards. That really is our explanation for it.
It is. No, it is.
So I mean, respond to that, Mark. How do you like? And nobody will ask the damn question. I mean, all those arms of the Patriots down there. Oh, it's sickening. I mean, it's absolutely. We're recording on Thursday, and that press conference took place today down there.
That was ridiculous. So, Chris, it's a combination of things, right? So, number one, Jen is right. They're cheap bastards. That listen, I know she's being, tongue in cheek there, but it is true, Chris. They didn't.
I don't know if she's being tongue in cheek. I think she means it.
Yeah. But listen, Chris, listen. So they don't want to spend. They don't ever want to spend real money, right? So while they had Mac Jones under a rookie contract, did they go out and try to get a top receiver? No, they didn't. Their drafts suck. That's another major issue. They took Tyquan Thornton, right? They took Tyquan Thornton. Yeah. Last
Polk,
year they
Baker
and Polk.
Pass on McConkey. But the year they take Thornton, they pass on Pickens from Pittsburgh. I know he's just a little crazy in the head, but he's a hell of a lot better receiver than what Thornton was. Thornton's not even on the roster anymore. Yeah.
And she's right about Elliot Wolf, right? I want to know Elliot Wolf has a job, Chris, because he was responsible for that draft last year. Belichick wasn't here anymore. So how he's got a job based on that draft last year?
And the free
I don't-
agency.
Listen, I don't know what
Okorafor,
Kraft made the
Osborne.
comment. Kraft made the comment, oh, well, we like the system he developed. Or what system is he developed? What, draft a bunch of scrubs, a bunch of stiffs, and pay no money to free agents? Is that your system? What are you talking about?
Bring in worse free agents, worse than we've
Worse.
seen. I mean, they're so bad. That free agent class was so bad. So yeah, Mark. I mean, so again, you know, and let me just, don't get me wrong. I like the guys they picked up on defense. I do. I mean, he picked up all starters
for this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do like them, but you still have issues. You still have gaping major holes at major positions.
So Chris, how do you go?
By the way, did you really solve your edge, Rush? Did you really solve it?
Oh, they signed a guy from the Raiders today, Chazon.
Whatever.
They just signed a guy today.
Yeah,
who
but
supposedly
that's a bench guy.
No.
That's a.
Well, no, he had like 6-7 sacks for the Raiders last year. They, from what I read, Chris, they're very high on this kid. I don't know who the hell he is. Never heard of him. He was a first-round draft pick of Jacksonville. So my guess is Marone knows this kid. Anyway, so getting back to what you said, Chris, I just had to throw that in there about the edge rusher, but you're right, Chris. So can you go into camp again like you did last year, trying to plug guys into left tackle without a starter? And what are you going to have? You're going to have an audition for left tackle again?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to have to now, or it's a foregone conclusion now, and that's something else we're going to talk about tomorrow on the Pats Nation. Is now with the free agent stuff, what do we do in the draft? We'll have our scenarios too, but well, I mean, you know what's going to happen. You know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to go in the draft and they're going to draft the tackle, and they're going to say no to Travis Hunter, and we're going to be pissed again because they're going. We'll have let an athlete go. Again.
So, Chris, listen, make me understand. I'll agree with you. I like what they did on defense. You got plug and play starters. I'm not saying they're all A-level free agents.
Well, Milton Williams is.
He is, but I'm talking about guys like Spillane.
Yeah.
Jackson, right?
Carlton Davis. They overpay for a bunch of these guys, too.
They're not all A-level guys. They're probably B-level guys. But based on our roster, they're plug-and-play guys, right? They're going to be plug-and-play, right? So I'm okay with what they did on the defensive side of the ball. What that shows us, though, Chris, a couple of things, is, first of all, it shows that you and I were right all year last year because we kept saying people don't realize how bad this defense is. The defense keeps getting a pass because they're focusing on how bad the offense is. This defense is terrible. And this free agency showed you that, Chris, because Vrabel saw what you and I saw on tape and realized this defense is horrific. I got to bring in all kind of guys all over the defense. And he did, right? But
defensive coach got defensive guys. Once again, the offense gets ignored.
Once again, you didn't hire an offensive coach, which you wanted, an offensive coach. In contrast, look what Ben Johnson did in Chicago. Totally solidified the offensive line. Totally solidified it. Oh, and by the way, he solidified the trenches too. Everybody in this part of the country is driving me crazy. Oh, you got to build from the trenches. Well, Chicago did it, but he rebuilt his whole offensive line, and he brought in guys in the trenches on defense. Oh, why? Because he's already got a quarterback and receivers. Watch what that team does next year.
Yeah. This whole idea in Minnesota.
How do you not trade? Or at least even make an offer for DK Metcalf. They didn't even pick the phone up, Chris. The word came out that they didn't even pick the phone up for DK Metcalf. How was that possible when you don't have a receiver in the room?
If I hear again, the word culture come out of somebody's mouth in one Patriots place and echoed by all their puppets. Okay, yeah, and I'm talking about you, Curran, and I'm talking to you, Perry, and even a little bit of Bedard too. I'm talking to you guys, okay, because this culture bullshit nonsense that we keep hearing, like Do your goddamn job, coaches. Mike Vrabel, do your damn job. You set the culture. What are you trying to? I mean, it's like these coaches are trying to just ease their way out of the responsibility of setting the culture. Okay? You say, well, Bill, the Patriot way, right? Well, that's because you had Bruschi, and that's because you had, what's his name? You had McGinnis, and you had Ty Law, and you had all these guys that Belichick inherited, so it was easy the Patriot way. Really? It wasn't easy? Because last time I checked, there was no Patriot way with the same players on the Pete Carroll. Okay? Those were the same guys, and it was I don't hear Ted Johnson talking about this. It was a clown show in that locker room, okay, with the same dudes. The coach sets the damn culture. Get talent on this team. You want the culture to change? Win some friggin' games. Win. That's how you build culture. You win, and the coach steps in and builds the culture. That's your
Chris,
job.
No, you're right. But let me ask you a question, Chris.
So get DK Metcalf in line then,
When he says build culture, though, Chris, is he talking about guys that will fall in line? He'll set the culture, but he wants guys that are going to follow the culture once he sets it. And I think his thing is they had a lot of guys last year, Chris, who wouldn't step in line and follow anything that was trying to be implemented.
Because they had no leadership at the head coaching position. That's why.
Okay.
So if you bring Mike Vrabel in and you say that this guy can control a room, he's a culture guy, he's going to set the tone, then it doesn't matter, does it? Does it make a difference then?
No.
Why does it make a difference? In other words, if you're the guy, if you're the dude, you should be able to handle DK Metcalf. No?
Yeah.
So I'm sick and tired of
agree.
hearing all these clowns talking about, well, they didn't think he'd be a culture fit, and you don't want to bring that guy into a young receiver room because you don't know what he's going to do to them.
Well, let me tell you something, Chris. Two things.
But
First
Josh
of all,
McDaniels, same guy. He can do it. He's he'll set the tone.
Let me tell you something. Two things. First of all, in regards to the culture, well, maybe you should spend a little bit of time with this kid. I get he sets a persona about him, but that's what these number one receivers do, Chris. That's who they are. These guys, all of them are divas. That's their persona. They wouldn't be number one receivers without that. That's part of their moxie. So if you ever want a number one receiver, you're going to have to shut your mouth, and that's what these people are. So all these people, like you said, Curran and all these people, listen, that's what number one receivers are. So get used to it. But I'm going to tell you something. Go read what have sent out, the message he sent out on Twitter, well, whatever it's called now, X, Y, Z, I don't know what the hell it's called, right? Whatever it's called, right? Correct. Go read the message that he sent to the 12s, the fans, DK Metcalf. He sent to the 12s. He poured his heart out to the 12s of Seattle, because I don't know if he wanted to leave Seattle, Chris. And he poured his heart out to the guys he played with and the guys that accepted a kid from Mississippi who learned how to win. And he poured his heart out in a message to those people. So don't tell me the kid doesn't know about culture. Okay, that's a bunch of BS. He's got a persona about him because that's what all number one receivers have. The bottom line is they didn't want to pay the $150 million. Jen's right. They're cheap bastards. They didn't want to pay the money, Chris. It had nothing to do with the culture. That's a crock of BS. That's an excuse for not wanting to pay. They didn't want to pay the goddamn money. That's the problem, Chris.
That's right. And the same thing with Debo, and the same thing with some of these other guys. And okay, I'll give him Godwin because they made a big offer to him and he chose to stay in Tampa. Fine. But these other guys, this other situation, I don't want to hear about culture anymore. Say, well, Cooper Kupp is another situation. Kupp's now on the market. Same nonsense. Patriots are in. Patriots are all in. But they think the price is too high for him. And it's only here in New England. He wants to stay on the West Coast. These are all your excuses.
But did you hear the comment he made? He said, I prefer to stay out west. However, I'm not closing any doors, which means if somebody wants to offer me enough money, I'll go out east and play. But that's not going to be the Patriots, Chris. They're not going to offer him. They're not going to offer the money to have him come out east. Not going to happen.
By the way, he also reached out to a few people he knows to ask about what it's like to live in Massachusetts and all that, and that area and all that. So, I mean, he's interested. We won't pay the bill. Mark, they don't value the position. You've said it for so long, and we'll leave it on that note. They don't value the position. I don't know if they ever will. And this is what happens.
But you got a new head coach, Chris. He doesn't value the position either.
What did he play? What side of the ball is he on?
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
That's true.
So, this whole build from the trenches in and out, Mark, tomorrow on the Pats Nation, we're going to talk about what the hell's the matter with these guys that they keep separating the two. They keep separating it. They keep looking at it as if the offensive line is not on the field at the same time as wide receiver, and we'll explain.
People are going to tune in tomorrow and listen to that because I know that you're big on that, Chris, and you'll give them some good insight because you've been talking about this for a year that people, they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Exactly. So, Jen, as always, thank you for the call. Heated Hotline was presented by Corso Law Group, corsolawgroup.com. Hey, when we come back, buckle up. Catone's Comments is next.
No one ever thinks they will be in need of a criminal or traffic lawyer, but things happen. Corso Law Group is Arizona's leading criminal and traffic law firm. Call or go online to CORSOLawGroup.com and talk with these expert attorneys who I know will help.
Time for Catone's Comments!
So today, listen, I could talk about LeBron James. I have to. Okay. Now, listen, LeBron James scored his 50,000th point this past week. And listen, is he one of the greats that has ever played? Yeah, he is. He's one of the greats. Yeah, he is. He absolutely is. Right. I'll give him that. I'll give him the credit for that. Right. But also this past week, everyone keeps talking about GOAT. Who's the GOAT? Is LeBron the GOAT? He scored 50,000 points. This and that. I know Shannon Sharp on First Take with Stephen A. He constantly says that LeBron's the GOAT. I want Shannon Sharp to come on our show because I want to debate it with him because I love Shannon. He's a great guy, but I want to have the debate with him. But this isn't about who the GOAT is, okay? But it's about LeBron. So I'm watching the Celtic game last Saturday night. They played the Celtics. Celtics beat them, and I know LeBron left in the early fourth quarter with his hamstring. But there was a couple of things that happened in that game. First, there's a play, and I think it was Tatum. Is driving to the basket. It was either Tatum or Brown, but I think it was Tatum. He's driving to the basket, and he crosses over with the ball on a crossover dribble and goes to the basket. And LeBron snaps his head back and holds his chin and starts screaming at the ref that he got elbowed to the chin. So when you show the replay, he clearly does not get hit by an elbow. They showed the replay 3 times, but yet he's acting like he's in pain. He's complaining to the ref. You want to know what's wrong with basketball and what's wrong with the NBA right now? It's LeBron James. For all his greatness, he's a crybaby. He's probably the biggest crybaby in all the NBA. And you know what, LeBron? I want you to get on the show, and I'll discuss that with you too, because I know you like to confront reporters. You confronted Stephen A. last week. I'm going to get to that in a minute about your son because you criticized your son. But we're going to get to that in a minute. But so now you're complaining to the ref over something that didn't even occur. So you want to talk about everybody that gets fouled in the NBA. Watch these games. Even Tatum and Brown, they all scream and cry. They're crying to the refs. They're holding their arms. Guys, play the game like it's supposed to be played. Don't do what LeBron does. LeBron started all that BS about crying to refs, faking, flopping, trying to get calls. He started that. So that's part of his legacy too. Don't forget that. I don't care. He scored 50,000 points. All this nonsense that happens with all these flops and fake calls and, oh, I got hit. You didn't really get hit. Thank LeBron for that too, because he brought that into basketball because he's the biggest crybaby baby to ever play the game. Now, last week in New York, I think they're playing the Knicks, the Lakers. Previous to that game, a couple of days before that game, Stephen A. Smith talks about the fact that Bronny, LeBron's son, he isn't ready for the NBA. He said he should be in the G League. He probably shouldn't have been drafted. He should be in college. If he was anybody else, he'd still be in college. That's where he needs to be because he needs to develop. He's not an NBA player right now at this stage of his career. He's not being rude. He's not saying anything about the kid. He's just saying his honest assessment as a basketball analyst that the kid's not ready for the NBA. The kid should probably still be in college. He's where he is because of his dad. Hey, that happens in business. It happens with lawyers. It happens in business. It happens. People get places because of who you know, because of who your father is, whatever. And that's all that's all Stephen A was saying. The kid really doesn't belong in the NBA right now. LeBron takes it upon himself to confront him at the game. I think it was, I don't know if it was during a timeout or at the end of a half, but he gets in his face and basically says to him, keep my son's name out of your mouth. And Stephen A wouldn't really get into the details of the conversation, but you could tell that LeBron was heated. Why? Your son's a professional basketball player now. He's not a 15-year-old kid playing, or 13-year-old kid, 12-year-old kid playing youth baseball or basketball, playing AAU. He's a professional athlete now. He's not. I know you're his dad, but listen, you brought him into this. He's a professional athlete now. People are going to talk about him. People are going to critique his game. Man up, LeBron. And Stephen A didn't say anything that was bad. So it's time for LeBron to retire. I've had enough of LeBron now. You were a great player. Go off into the sunset and turn the league over to the young guys, the young guns, whatever you want to call them. It's time for you to go now. It's over. It's all over. It's time for you to go. You were a great player. Go. You're 40, 41 years old. Please go. Go. I had enough. I had to get that off my chest, Chris, because that's been bothering me all week about him.
Yeah, you talked to me when that happened. You called, and yeah, you were fired up. But I don't blame you. Yeah, you know what? I'm surprised he didn't step up on the stage at the Oscars and slap him in the face. Because definitely sounds like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Get it out your mouth.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely. And to your first point, yeah, I agree. The baby and nobody's. Tatum's right there. I will say Tatum's got a little better.
But Chris, they all got that from LeBron.
It's so irritating. It is so irritating to watch these guys bitch and complain. And the worst offenders are the ones that complain while the play is going down the other way for an easy layup while you sit and bitch at the damn officials. Like Luka.
But Chris, that started with LeBron. Before LeBron, that never happened.
I know. Instead of worrying about that, he should worry about the fat ass on his team that can't get in shape and run up from one side of the court to the other side of the court, Luka Doncic. I told you 100 times.
You've been all over him. You've been all over him.
I said it last year. I don't like him. I don't want him. You can have him.
I was saying to my buddy watching that game the other night,
Yes.
I saw that play with LeBron, and I'm like, Luka, this guy's got no definition in his arms or whatever. He looks like he's got the
He's
arm
a professional. Joe, he's a professional athlete, Joe. Professional athlete.
I know. I'm like, this guy doesn't do a push-up at all.
He's a professional slob. That's what he is. So, I mean, and again, he got his 30 points, 32 points.
He got it all in garbage time.
I mean, but back to your point. Yeah, I mean, the bitching and the complaining, it's got to go. It's horrible. I mean, the officiating sucks. It does. But you know what, Mark? It all goes to and listen, you people out there, I love you, but all you green teamers, you guys, you people are the worst out there when it comes to the Celtics. I mean, God damn it. At that game the other night against OKC, like the first thing out of the broadcast mouth after was the officials. What? Oh, but the officials cost you that game? Oh, you shot 63 3-pointers. That's got nothing to do with the one thing we didn't say in the last segment, Mark, just because it fits what you're talking about, is you didn't drive. If you take 63 3-pointers, you're not going to get to the free throw line very much.
No, you're not at all.
Okay, and against the team, okay, that allows the most free throw attempts per game is Oklahoma. So you would think the game plan would be to drive the lane.
To get to the line. Yeah.
To get to the line. So, yeah, Mark, the bitching, the complaining.
But, Chris, even with the bitching and complaining with LeBron, but the whole thing about confronting Stephen A.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, listen, your kid played sport. Your kid was an athlete. He's played sports. He's played football. My kid played in college. I mean, these kids, they're not in Little League. They're not in Pop Warner football, Chris.
Yeah.
I mean, once you get to a certain level, I mean, he's a professional athlete, the kid. The son is now a professional athlete, Chris.
I watched my son, okay, playing corner, all right, in high school. And I watched him play against these teams. And high school football is big out here. It's big time.
Yeah.
It's not, like, you know.
You're playing against kids that are going to Notre Dame. They're going everywhere, right?
It's Gerald's kid I'm coaching. You know, these are guys that are going to the NFL. So he was playing the corner, okay, and he's on the other side, and that sideline was giving it to him. I mean, the coaches were giving it to him. Boston is because he was, you know, nobody could hit the edge. Nobody could hit the edge. He's blowing people up on the edge of the edge. So it's getting to him. And not only that, he's watching the signals. He's listening to he's watching their signals, and he understands now what they're doing, and he's calling it out on defense. You know, because he's smart.
Yeah.
And they're giving it to him and giving it to him. What was I going to do? Run across the field and start yelling at the damn coaches over there? No. He came to the sideline and saying, you know what? Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you keep giving them looks on the sideline. Stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Stand up for yourself. Because he didn't do it, because LeBron didn't do his kid any favors by doing that.
And listen, the kid's a nice kid. He's respectful. And the kid's in the NBA. Whether he belongs there or not, you're right, Chris. Now he's going to stand up for himself. He's a professional athlete now. You're in the NBA. I mean, if, you know, people are saying stuff, whatever, you're going to have some thick skin.
Yeah.
Right. First of all,
I'm sure he does. I'm sure the kid can handle it.
The kid does. Listen, if he grew up as LeBron's son and you named the kid Bronny, LeBron Jr., the kid's got to have thick skin. He has to. Anyway,
what do you think happened when he left Cleveland? How much crap do you think the kid was getting at school or whatever?
Of course.
Or when he left these plays, you know, I mean, look, like you said, I understand the whole father
I understand
instinct.
it as a dad and as a father. I totally get it because both our kids played sports, Chris. But at that level, you can't confront them, Stephen A. like that.
You know what the other problem with it too?
And I respect Stephen A. because
I do too.
Anybody else, you know how he is. He would have roasted him the next day on his show.
Yeah.
And he did not. He was respectful. He said, I understand his frustration.
Like
he's
Chris
a
Rock.
father. Yep, he's a father. He said, I get it. He said, we're gonna put it behind us. I get what he said. But Stephen A. said, I stand by my statement, and I get why he was upset. He was a gentleman about it, Stephen A. You know?
Yeah, but you know what pisses me off even more about this story is the spectacle. See, I'll take when you say, okay, he's a father, you know, we understand, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Here's why I call BS on that too. Okay? If that's true, then do it behind closed doors. Then call the guy. You got access to Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, he's got Stephen A. Of course, if he called him Stephen A. Pick the phone up in a
listen,
minute.
you know, as a father, it's tough for me to listen to you torch the kid like that or whatever he was doing. You know.
Yeah.
Do you need to make a spectacle out of it? No. Of course he does. Because just like he does when he's laying on the court when somebody shot him on a foul that he didn't get called. You know, it's the same. Mark, it's the same behavior.
Can I say something to you? That's a great point, Chris, and that no one's brought up. And I didn't even think of it. He could have called him on the phone. That's a great. I'm not even thinking of that, Chris. Obviously, he's got Stephen A. on speed dial. LeBron James called Stephen A. He's picking the phone up. You're absolutely right.
He had to make a show out of it.
Yeah, you're right.
So what's the real motivation? You know, that's the question I want to know.
That's
what's
a great
motivation
take.
for that.
No one has mentioned that, Chris. That's a great take.
Yeah,
I didn't even think of it.
That's his whole world is a spectacle. That's why.
Not to mention, though, like you prolonged the spectacle and the speculation of his kid's play, whether he's good or not.
Right.
People will still continue to talk that he sucks. It's like, let it go under the rug, call him on the phone, at home. Don't let it go out in the media again and again.
Because you're really helping your kid. Are you really helping him, by making a spectacle of yourself? And because now everybody around the country wants to watch this kid play, and they can be like, "Oh yeah, Jesus Christ, he does suck." I mean,
exactly. No, you're right.
It's going to be worse, right, Mark?
No, absolutely.
Mark, this was a great Catone's comments today because, I love it because again, these guys are so into themselves.
Wait, what were you going to walk over to the sideline and get to a fist fight because they were, you know what I mean? What were you going to do with Andrew? What are you going to do?
Yeah, kid, sink or swim. Deal with it. Deal with it. I tell him, deal with it. Use it. Use it. You know what I mean? Use it. But listen, but Mark, his whole world is a spectacle.
Yeah, it is. He is.
And so
You're right. 100%.
That's what it is. But Mark, it's great points, good stuff. One of your better Catone's comments. I will give you that, Mark. So Catone's comments was presented by the Pats Nation. Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Tomorrow, tune in. We're going to have all Patriots talk, free agency. We're going to talk draft. We're going to talk some of the college players too, right, Mark? We're going to bring up a little bit tomorrow.
Absolutely. Yeah, we will. Yeah, absolutely.
And then don't worry, Jen, we're going to talk about how cheap they are too. So make sure you stick around for that. But when we come back, we're going to go Yankees versus Red Sox. No flipping.
Sundays are for football. And here in New England, that means it's the Pats Nation with Corso and Catone.
You have the worst wide receiver room in the National Football League.
This is why the Patriots need us in the draft room. Let's see what the Pats Nation thinks about that, Mark.
Starting June 30th, Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m. on 790 The Score.
Back in with more Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. All right, still in spring training. Let's get to the MASH unit. Yankees versus Red Sox. Show. Okay, Mark, let's start with the Yankees. I mean, when I say MASH unit, I am not exaggerating.
No, you really aren't at this point. My God, it's bad.
Well, let's hear it. Let's go down. Cole is now out for about a year and a half.
Garrett Cole's going to be out. Usually that injury, 16 months minimum. So I'm guessing, he's having, for those of you that don't know, elbow, Tommy John surgery. You probably won't see him until after the All-Star break next year. After the All-Star break, you'll see him next year. That's a major injury. We talked about last week, Lewis Hill, the rookie of the year last year in the American League.
Yeah.
He's out, starting pitcher. Probably he'll be out. I'm guessing, Chris, he can't throw a baseball for 6 weeks at least. I'm guessing you won't see him till after the All-Star break this year. Yankees have issues. Stanton probably going to have to go on the IR. If he's not on injured reserve, I mean, if he has surgery, they're debating. They said he could be out the season if he has surgery. Yankees are in trouble, Chris. A lot. You lost 2 pitchers right now. You're starting DH. I don't know where they're getting the pitching from. Then they're talking about making deals. Maybe go get the guy from the Marlins, Alcantara, Sandy Alcantara. But that might cost you your best prospect, Dominguez. I don't want to give up Dominguez.
No, you take a down year before you do that, Mark.
That's what I said. That's what I'm saying, Chris.
And I'm certainly not giving up the 19-year-old shortstop either.
No, and that's what they're going to want, Chris. You're going to have to give one of those types of guys up to get the kid for Miami. I'm not doing that, Chris.
No, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to trudge through the first quarter of the season, okay? And you're going to have to get into June, July. You're going to have to get in there and then see who shakes free.
Because you'll get somebody during the trade deadline, Chris.
Yeah, because you'll be some teams that are out of it already.
Yep.
And that want to unload some salary, unload whatever, and you'll be able to make some moves where you don't have to give up. So you can't hit the panic button yet. Best
case scenario this year, Chris, with these injuries, and you say this every year, wait till the break, the trading deadline, pick somebody up, then get in as play for a wild. You're not going to probably win the division. Play for the wild card. That's okay. Because these wild card teams, Chris, catch fire at the right time.
Yeah, I know.
And a lot of them end up going to the World Series and sometimes even winning the whole thing.
Well, you saw that with Arizona.
Yeah.
2 years ago. I mean, obviously the 2 best teams last year went.
No, they did. Last year was different. But you get in the wild card, Christian, you get hot at the right time.
Listen, we were concerned as to whether or not this is a World Series team to begin with. After not signing Soto, having Stanton out, having some of these issues about
now
center field.
It's a problem.
So, and then who's playing third base?
It's a problem. They got a problem, Chris. It's a problem.
But they're gonna have to push through the first portion of the season, and then maybe they can do something. And on the other side, okay, talking about the Red Sox now, they got injuries of their own, Mark, right?
Yeah. So was it
Bello, Crawford,
Bello
Galato.
right? Galato is out with his hamstring. He's starting the year on IL. Hunter Crawford, his knee, which he had injured last year, Chris, which amazes me. You don't have anything done during the offseason to fix that. Now all of a sudden he shows up to spring training. Oh, his knee. He's out again. Knee soreness.
Yeah, these guys that show up hurt. What is it like? What are these teams doing in the offseason with these guys?
I don't know. So he's a problem, Chris, because I don't think they've said he's going to miss the start of the season, but I don't think they know where they are with him yet. So and like you said, Bello has got arm soreness. He's gonna miss the start of the season. So they've got 3 pitchers potentially out. The Red Sox, 3 guys who are supposed to start, maybe not being available for the first couple of weeks of the season at least. So that's a problem. That's a major problem because they don't have a ton of pitching depth either.
No, they don't. So there you go. There's another team now with them. You try to play the quarter of the season. The problem with them is you're not.
Their injuries aren't as extensive as the Yankees. They'll get those guys back sooner.
Right.
But you got to try to survive probably the first month if those guys are hurt.
But the problem is your starting position is not New York, no. Your expectations are not. I mean, I guess that could help in a certain way because I guess you could say, well, our expectations are not to be the best team in the AL East here. So we could survive the first quarter. We get some of these guys get back and maybe we make a couple of deals, something like that. Because I think they're a good team. I'm concerned.
No, I think the Red Sox have made all the right moves. But Tanner Houck also, Chris, got bombed yesterday.
Yeah.
So I don't know where he is ready to start the season. And then there's our friend, Mr. Devers. Then there's our friend, Mr. Devers.
All right. So we heard what he said. I mean, taking you through the whole thing. I mean, he said, I played third base. And then you didn't hear, after that press conference where he said, I played third base, that's it, basically.
You went into witness protection after that.
Right. Nobody heard from the guy. No, he didn't take one at bat, didn't get on the field one time until Thursday. Okay. Until today. Where he, in a was it a simulated game? He hit a home run, I think.
Simulated game on the backfield that nobody saw.
Right, that he hit a home run, and then after he spoke and said, "I'm all good to do whatever they want me to do. I'm here to help. I've already spoken to them about that, and they know where I stand. But I'm just ready to play. I just want to help the team win, whatever position I'm playing. I'll always take these things as a competition and as a way to get better. It's been kind of sad that I've been put out there as someone who's bad for the organization. I've matured a lot during this. In this couple of weeks, I'm ready to move forward. And at the end of the day, it's not my decision. Okay. So
is that the biggest crock of BS you've heard?
Yeah, ever. He's matured in the last 2 weeks. That's amazing. I wish my kids would do that. You know what I mean? This. I don't know who wrote this for him, but
well, he didn't obviously. He's not. Come on. Of course they wrote that. Someone wrote it. His agent probably wrote it for him.
Yeah. Do you think this is true? Do you think this is all real right here?
No, because Chris, I think he took his temper tantrum. That's why no one has seen him for 3 weeks. Right? Hasn't played in the game. And even today, Chris, it was a simulated game on the backfield. He didn't go out in spring training in front of anybody. Right. So you mean to tell me this guy's going to be ready for opening day? He hasn't played in a real game, and the season opens in a week and a half.
Yep.
He's going to be ready to go?
I don't know. I don't think this is over by any stretch. Listen, what happened here was he took, like you say, he took his temper tantrum and he disappeared, right? Then,
of course he did.
Then he realized nobody cared. Then he watched the organization not do anything.
They moved on with the young kid. They moved on with Bregman and the young kids, right?
He watched them never put Bregman at second base.
Nope.
Not one time did Bregman go over to second base. So he understood that I'm never playing third again on this team.
No.
As long as that guy's here or unless I'm in the lineup and he's out.
Listen, Chris, even when he's out, right, even if he plays if Bregman sits out a game or whatever, the handwriting's on the wall anyways, Chris, because everyone's saying, well, if Bregman has a great year and leaves because he has an opt-out in the contract, They got the kids. One of those young kids they're all infielders. One of those kids is going to play third base. So Devers is never going back to third base, Chris.
But the thing that pisses me off, and it's just like all these athletes now. Yeah, now here comes the old guy. Here comes the get off my lawn. This is me now coming, okay? When he makes the statement, okay, where the hell is it? It's been kind of sad that I've been put out there as someone who's been bad for the organization. What do you mean it's been put out there? You put it out there. Like you did that. What do you? Who the hell is he talking about when he says it's been put out there? What is he saying, Mark?
Listen, these guys are in la la land. I don't know what he's talking about. All I know is when
maybe it was me putting that thumbnail up when he was. Yeah,
I
put him in a bib.
It's a baby, Joe. It was a great thumbnail. It's a big friggin' baby.
All I know is, Chris, after that press conference where he said, I played third base. Listen, after that press conference.
He drew a line in the sand.
He drew a line in the sand, and then nobody's seen him again.
Right.
So what the hell was that about? It's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, nobody saw you again.
That's on us?
Not on us.
So I don't think this is over. I don't think you all should think that it's over out there. But we'll pay attention to the MASH units over here, and we'll go from there.
Oh, you're blocking the home run the other day, Cassis.
Okay. And do you want to talk about PC or do you want to talk about Cassis?
No, we'll talk. We need to talk about.
I want to give Mark a few minutes on Providence College because they lost in the first round of the Big East tournament.
Yeah, well, everyone knew that.
So.
Chris, this was a tough season as a fan. I think they tied for the most losses in the history of the program this year.
Tough. It was tough. Hard to watch.
Hard to watch. You were texting me many nights saying, Mark, how are you watching this? And I'm like, I got to put myself through the torture. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
I have to. Listen, this is the problem, though, Chris, with college athletics right now. You put your faith in these guys that go into this portal, this transfer portal, and it's a crapshoot. It's like you're in Vegas throwing the dice. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't know. Sometimes you're getting kids from smaller schools. They project to be good. They're coming into the Big East. It's tough. Okay, it's difficult. PC, Chris, to me personally, it looked like they showed no fight down the stretch, no hustle.
Yeah.
To me, it looked like he lost. Everyone says, well, no, they play tough against Xavier last Saturday. That's a bunch of BS. I think he lost his locker room. I don't think he could get the kids to listen to what he wanted them to do. You watch these games. You listen to his press conferences, Chris. He sounded like Gerard Mayo. PC is not North Carolina, Duke, Kentucky. That's not who they are. In this day and age of NIL money, Chris, you can't bring in 5. PC's not the program that can bring in 5 and 6 guys every year that are studs and pay them $1 zillion to come here. They don't have that. You have to build like Marquette does. Bring in a couple of guys, freshmen, bring them in, develop, retain. Bring in 1 or 2 freshmen a year. So then after 2 or 3 years, you only got to supplement with these transfers. They can't be the basis of your program because we don't have that kind of a program.
Yeah.
And this year showed that, Chris. Terrible year. You're probably going to see half the roster leave. I personally would fire Kim English. I think he's the wrong hire.
Just for some of the moves he made, calling timeouts on that 3 free throws, and then he made it intentionally missed it. Oh, my God.
I watched them all year, Chris, but I know they're not going to. They basically, the AD said they're going to bring him back for 1 more year. That's fine. It was a tough year. Let's hope things are better next year. We'll talk next week about March Madness because they're going to select the teams. But PC, season's over. Turn the page. It was terrible year, Chris. Terrible.
Well, that's it. Season, rest in peace. Mark, sorry about your Friars, but but we got to go. Catone's Corso and Catone was presented by the Pats Nation, Sundays, 8 a.m. Eastern. Again, tune in tomorrow morning. We're going to have all Patriots free agency discussion and so much more. Come back here next weekend, noon Eastern. We're going to have Yankees, Red Sox, Catone's comments, March Madness discussion. Like Mark just said, we are Corso and Catone, the real deal, New England feel. See you next Saturday.
Now find Corso and Catone on AM 790, The Score, iHeartRadio, iTunes, wherever you podcast. Or subscribe to the YouTube channel and catch the chaos every Saturday at noon.